Despite ongoing education regarding the importance of helmet use and the need for safe coexistence between cyclists and drivers, cycling continues to result in significant injuries to cyclists each year. Now, speaking with me today is Patrick Brown. He's a partner from McLeish Orlando and a member of the Personal Injury Alliance. Patrick, how significant is the risk of cycling-related accidents?
Believe it or not, roughly, it's probably larger, 26,000 Ontarians wind up in emergency rooms across the province based on cycling accidents. And for the large part, many people estimate it's much higher because about over 80% go unreported.
Now, how serious an impact do these accidents have on the victim and their families?
It's outright devastating, Mike. Myself and lawyers from the other PIA law firms, Ole Bigman and Thompson Rogers, and my firm, McLeish Orlando, we see regularly these families who have either lost a dad or a mom or a child that have been killed or they've suffered serious injuries, and the impact on all these people is just huge.
Now, we hear time and time again that cyclists should be wearing helmets. How big of a difference do helmets actually make?
In 2010, involved in the coroner's review of cycling deaths, which took a look at 4 years of cycling deaths in Ontario. And I did that after just being involved with a number of different incidents where a young man, for instance, Ryan Carrier, was killed riding home to see his two little girls. He was going to take them out for Halloween, and a truck just simply made a right-hand turn and sucked him into the undercarriage. And another case up north was Dougal Christie, a lawyer, in fact, riding across Canada to raise money to help people who couldn't afford legal services, simply riding on the paved shoulder of the road. Vehicle comes from behind, hits him, drags him, kills him, and following those two deaths, Mike, I got more involved, and we did this 2010 coroner's review. I represented a number of cycling groups, but in that process, a hard look was looked at helmets, and there's no doubt that the studies themselves show that helmets reduce the nature and extent of traumatic brain injuries. That was clear.
Now, Patrick, beyond helmet usage, what else can cyclists, particularly those riding in the roads up here in cottage country, do to ensure that they are as safe as possible?
A person on a bike is subject to the laws of the Highway Traffic Act. Just like in a car, you got to follow the rules of the road. That's the number one thing. We see far too many cases of cyclists either being severely injured or killed on the country roads or cottage roads, as you've indicated. Number one, drivers got to be on the lookout for cyclists. When they're coming around those bends and corners and they can't anticipate that there might be a cyclist around there, and position your car accordingly or reduce your speed. In the mornings, car drivers have to be vigilant. You can't be sitting there trying to have a coffee and as we know, cell phones and things like that. If you're not being vigilant, you can kill someone. So the other point is drivers have to slow down. We know from stats speed kills. And you got to give those cyclists room, meaning give them a wide berth when you pass them. If you can't, the solution's simple. Just simply wait until you can. You brush up close to them, you're playing with their life. So from that standpoint, drivers have to take responsibility, and so do cyclists. Hey, cyclist, put on your helmet. If you're going to be riding near dusk, you better have your lights on your bike. Hey, if you got a flat, fix it far off the shoulder. Get away from the traffic. Wear the bright fluorescent clothing. I mean, being seen is the key. So make sure you have your bike lights on. Hey, don't try to reduce your bike weight by taking off lights. It's not the Tour de France. And really, these are measures that are making car drivers being able to see the cyclists. I say ride in a group. If you're on country roads, call up a buddy if he's at a cottage or a place nearby and say, hey, can you ride with me? Riding in a group is a much safer way. Try to maintain a steady line, so don't do the side-by-side chit-chat riding on a country road where you've got curves and bends and vehicles don't see you. Try to go in a line clearly. Minimize the risk. Everybody has to.
What rights do cyclists injured in a collision with an automobile even have?
Cyclists have a lot of rights, and when they are hurt or killed, their family members or themselves have the right to obviously sue the at-fault motorist and bring a civil lawsuit against them. There will be compensation made available to those cyclists. There's also a wealth of different rehab benefits to get the cyclist that's been injured to receive the treatment that they need. if the cyclist has been killed, the family has the ability as well to have other benefits. Death benefits are called. But I'll be honest with you, Mike. There's really no compensation that would ever be an amount that would compensate somebody for the loss of life or some of the serious and debilitating injuries that we see. But it is available, and the PIA law, I mean, that's what we do day in and day out, is deal with these cases. And it's, believe it or not, we have one of the most complicated systems in North America when it comes down to obtaining compensation when you've been hurt, where a car has been involved, and that includes cyclists. And because of the complexities in the system, you really do need somebody that is experienced in that area of the law.
Now, if someone has been injured in a cycling-related accident, what should they do?
They should contact a lawyer, and they just like there's bad drivers and there can be bad cyclists, and just as you can get inexperienced drivers, you can get bad lawyers, and you can get inexperienced ones too. They're all out there. Do your research. Make sure they have the qualifications. Make sure they have the experience, and do your research, because if you do, you want somebody that knows what they're doing, and that's simply because of the complexities. But as well, those lawyers generally have the ability to put you on track to get some of the best rehab people in your area to get you back and better and back into the workforce. So if I had to give any advice, definitely if you've been injured or you have a family member that's been killed, get a very good lawyer. That was one of the reasons we put the Personal Injury Alliance together. It's why I joined. It's why my firm joined. We wanted to make sure that we were with a group that had the experience and the qualifications and credentials to work together to help people.
Now, Patrick, is there somewhere our listeners can go for more information on the PIA?
You could go to the Personal Injury Alliance website. That's pialaw.ca.
Perfect. Speaking with Patrick Brown. Patrick, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thanks, Mike.
You're listening to CFVG FM 99.5 Muskoka, The Moose, owned and operated by Vista Radio.